Thank you, Fawaz, and good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I look around the virtual room today and I see many leaders here on the call. And I have a question for you leaders here today. Has leading in a virtual environment become more challenging for you? And have you noticed a change in the leadership styles and effectiveness from the people who you look to as leaders? The pandemic and the resulting shift to more of a virtual-based engagement style has made being an effective leader much more challenging. Long-held beliefs about what it takes to be an effective leader are being put to the test each and every day in our more virtual world. And many of you may think that the good qualities of traditional leadership would translate easily to a virtual setting, but that's not necessarily the case. They don't necessarily translate to being a good virtual leader. So, which leadership qualities should we embrace in our new normal? If you know me, then you know that I unfortunately like to research, the economist in me. And I recently read an article that did a good job of digging into the issue of what it takes to be a good leader in the virtual world. And instead of breaking it down into more nuanced categories, they broke it down into two ways, and I like it. I like high-level breakdowns. Transactional leadership, transformational leadership. You have these two things and you're weighing them both. Transactional leaders are all about the outcomes of the people that follow them, and they rely on structure. So in this situation, praise and rewards are typically contingent on results, producing something good, and the leader usually has a strong personality and can be a bit inflexible. So think of a leader that says, you will do this, I need you to do this, I'm calling in to check on this, oh, I'm going to call you on Teams every 10 minutes to make sure you're doing your work. That's more of a transactional leadership style. Transformational leaders are typically more visionary. They're able to lay out their vision and get people to follow them and motivate them and develop others by creating a direction for them to follow, but allowing those other people the freedom to choose how they want to reach the end of that path. These types of leaders lead by example and motivate people who follow them. They less relying on structure and policies and procedures and more of an unstructured type of leader. However, both leadership styles have their strengths, and I'm not here to disparage one over the other. But let's think about some of the complexities that come along with working virtually. In a virtual setting, everyone has their own home or workspace that adds another layer of complexity that is out of the leader's control. If there's no strong personal relationship with the people that the leader is leading, they're not going to know a lot about what's going on within the household, what factors are affecting the employee as they work each and every day. They're not going to know, and the employee's not going to feel comfortable sharing that type of information with their leader if there's no relationship there. And we know things happen at home. You know, my cat smacked me right now on the leg while I'm trying to give this speech. It's a little annoying, but I'm trying to focus. And that's just what happens when you're working in a virtual setting. There are things that are just outside of your control. So considering these factors, the leader who does not really work on those personal relationships, aka that transactional leader, seems a little bit less appealing than the leader who focuses on the health and well-being of their employees and develops that personal relationship, which is also known as that transformational leader. And transformational leaders have been proven to be more effective leaders than transactional leaders when connecting with colleagues in a virtual setting. And to be more transformational, leaders in the virtual world should focus on three things. One, building trust with those who follow them. Two, providing the right kind of support. And three, creating social cohesion. Now, I'm going to dig into this a little bit more. To build relationships and effective communication, trust is necessary. But in a virtual world, this can be difficult due to limited face-to-face interactions and more siloed work habits. I think an unintended consequence of going virtual is that we don't engage and work on cross-team or cross-group projects as much because people just are not necessarily as accessible. And it's just easier to work in your little silo and get things done. And when you do have face-to-face interactions, it can still be difficult to pick up on the social cues that you would be able to pick up on if you were in person. people smiling, people frowning, people balling their fist up, ready to punch you because you just said something crazy to them. You won't be able to see that virtually because my fist isn't on the screen. Can you see it balled up right now? I'm ready to, I'm ready to punch myself. Transactional leaders may struggle building trust due to being more rigid and relying less on those relationships between the people who follow them and themselves. Transformational leaders, on the other hand, place more emphasis on employees' well-being, developing those personal relationships, and developing that trust. And that's important if you want to be able to build trust virtually. Number two, providing the right support is also an important leadership quality to focus on in a virtual environment. Working virtually automatically breaks down the structure of teams by giving individuals more time and more control, actually, to control their time, schedule, and settings. While being on telework, we've been able to have maxi-flex schedules and to really work at different hours all throughout the day. Can you imagine a transactional leader who is focused on making sure things get done in a timely manner in the way that they want to get it done, having that structure broken down and allowing the employee to sort of work as they please? It would drive them crazy. Transformational leaders, on the other hand, allow freedom for their followers to control their own behavior and approaches to getting things done. And that allows virtual workers to complete their tasks in a way that's more comfortable for them and in a way that's not being micromanaged. And then three, creating social cohesion is another important component of being a good virtual leader. Walking by offices or chatting at the water cooler or over a cup of coffee, those informal discussions, they just don't really happen as much in a virtual setting unless we are purposeful about creating the environment to foster that type of informal communication. Transactional leaders would see less value in spending time doing this because it doesn't create results. It's not going to go on the performance plan. Why should I care about it if I'm a transactional leader? That's not what we focus on if you're a transactional leader at the end of the day. It's less tangible. However, transformational leaders should be visionary and should be understanding of the long-term and less tangible benefits of creating that social cohesion. So, to summarize, focusing on becoming a more transformational leader and displaying the qualities that come along with that leadership style can help you become more impactful as a virtual leader. Great leaders can adapt to the needs of those who are following them and who are benefiting from their leadership. And as working in a virtual environment gains more momentum and gains more staying power, it's more important than ever for our new generation of leaders to adapt. Now, we are all leaders here in Toastmasters. Public speaking is what the club is about, but increasing our leadership skills and leadership development is just as important. So I'm here today to implore you all to set the tone in your programs, be the example, and let's show others what it means to be a leader in this new virtual world. Thank you.
Thank you, Fawaz. And mostly congratulations, Nico, on your excellent speech. I appreciated your speech very much. I found that it was quite engaging from the start because of the way you drew us in with your question about leadership. And I thought it was quite nice that you also considered us all leaders. I was trying to find out, how I was a leader within this. So I appreciated that. There are many things, Nico, that you are doing extremely well these days, especially. I found your gestures, your vocal variety was done really well. Your eye contact was good. And the comfort level in your delivery also shows well. And I also appreciated the organization of your speech. There was one thing which you've done better than usual, especially in the beginning of your speech, was your pauses. I do remember that I'd asked you once to try to pause because occasionally, maybe for me, when you're saying things which are quite interesting and I'm still with the last thought, I almost feel like I need a little pause where you can take a breather and then I can also fully comprehend the concept that you are delivering. So you did that well in the beginning, but for some reason close to the end you tended to pause less, It could be also you were trying to finish because you were maybe worrying about your time. Another aspect that I thought was really good also was your humor. You introduced two things which I thought were funny. The one was about the cat that was, touching your feet. That was a really good way to also bring us back, especially when a topic is more serious. I think humor can definitely help. And the second humorous part was with the fist. You actually first hid it and then you showed it briefly. And I thought that was funny. Plus, you said you're going to hit yourself. So I thought that was comical. So I think you should consider using a bit more humor. The only last thing that you could challenge yourself with, if you wish, because in this speech I really found nothing to reproach, but it would just be something that you could do as an extra, is somehow bring in a story. You are a great storyteller, and I think stories are what captures your audience. And so not only will we learn about transformational speech or transactional, but somehow with an example, like a live example, you could actually bring more your point across. So, but otherwise, excellent speech, beautifully done. Congratulations, Nico. Well done.